I'm going to talk you through a sketchbook from a Year 9 student at the start of their GCSE course. The project is natural forms, and in particular looking at the artist of Paul Cézanne. The student has completed this over the last 3 months. So the student begins with an artist page on Paul Cézanne with lots of factual information about him as an artist and images of his work. One thing the student could do better, and is mentioned here in the targets, the feedback from the teacher, is explain why they selected these artworks and talk about the work Paul Cézanne does and how it could inspire them. We see that later on visually throughout the project as I turn the pages, but the first notable piece of artwork is an artist study, a lovely pencil study of Paul Cézanne's work with a clear contrast between dark and light areas and a full range of tones. Very well drawn. And then the same picture again, similar composition, this time looking at pastel and colour, which Paul Cézanne was so well known for. Being inspired by Paul Cézanne, the student has created their completed their own photo shoot. So we see a contact sheet here of their images, replicating the compositions of Paul Cézanne, but doing their own photos. So thinking of the colours, the contrast between reds and oranges, blues and yellows are in there, reds and greens are in there, as you can see here. And this is a well annotated and displayed page. You need to be annotating your work as you go, certainly annotating the contact sheets. Her work has been enlarged to create this image here. Lovely watercolour study based on our own photos, having been inspired by Paul Cézanne. So we're starting to see a journey. Again, we've got lots of tones and dark and light areas present. There's the photograph the student produced that they worked from, and using a grid here you can see the student has enlarged the image into a lovely pencil drawing. We then have some colour studies and trying to suggest form with their watercolour paints, making sure that the work is three-dimensional. And now the student is experimenting with acrylic paints. So they're experimenting with media, and we have the acrylic paint work here. And the next step for this student is her compositions using acrylic paints. So I'm just going to jump ahead to that page there. We have the photograph of the composition that the student is doing, and we have a wash to begin with in tones of green, and then next week the student will be applying or finishing or continuing the painting, like so. In addition to that, we've got some more drawings. So beautiful pencil work, well shaded, well beautifully sketched. Some textures there of the fruit as well on display. And also the student is trying to look at their own artists, trying to find their own artists. So we're looking at Michelle Parsons here, and the student has replicated Michelle Parsons' work with a lovely watercolour painting, and has collected images which may well find themselves in her compositions at a later date.